Hello everybody, this is Fernando for the latest Cryptids and Monsters of the Week video. As always, this is just a random page entry from the cryptids.wikia.com website. In this case, it brought me to a very fascinating dinosaur. You know how much I love talking about dinosaurs, lost dinosaurs, and those dinosaurs found in the US or around the world here on this channel. So always a treat when I get to talk about another one here. This one though has to do with a very bizarre looking dinosaur. Definitely one of the most interesting ones yet. You'll know why here in a minute as to why its visual look, especially its characteristics and how it acts, definitely makes it seem very strange, very weird, but definitely something that I would love to just see in person as well. I mean, who wouldn't? Anything involving dinosaurs, anyone would love to see that. But it has to do with this. You're looking at a representation of it now. Instantly, you'll see why it's so fascinating, like it's so bizarre with the way it looks. More on that in a minute, but it's called the Roe. So let's go ahead and let's talk about all the wonderful information associated with this living dinosaur, hopefully still out there somewhere in this world. And hopefully there'll be very good evidence associated with it soon. So here's how it occurred. This is a dinosaur, a living dinosaur that apparently is found in Western New Guinea, very remote part of the world. It's apparently found near, after a long trek when it comes to going from some villages into its remote area. It gives you an idea essentially of how it's able to just stand basically by itself in an isolated area for so long and then remain undiscovered. First, let's focus on its characteristics, its physical characteristics. So it would basically look like your average dinosaur, the long-necked ones, the ones that have the very thick legs, and then of course the massive body. Those type of dinosaurs, we've seen plenty of them before. Such is the case here. It has a very, very extremely long neck. It has a humpback of sorts. It's called the roe because there's these rows of scales that actually are vertical and they stand upright and they are actually serrated, almost separated from the rest of its body. It reminded me, in fact, in a weird way, I mean, it's very artful of sorts. Godzilla, you know how Godzilla has those massive scales on the back of its spine. Such is the case here with this roe. And so that's why when people see it, they'll first see these rows of scales. And that's a good representation of showcasing that, hey, you're looking at this particular creature. Very massive, about 40 feet long in total. Its neck is considered very, very slim, almost as slim as its tail, in fact. And then of course attached to its neck is its head, and then its legs having in terms of massive trunk association to make sure that it could support its very, very large weight. That head, by the way, is actually shaped more along the lines of a turtle, like along the lines of a snapping turtle, especially with those beaks that those turtles tend to have. Such is the case here with regards to it. Its legs too are interesting in that the front legs are shorter than the back legs. This is for one particular reason, and this is why it's able to do what it does when it comes to its very unique characteristics. It actually pulls itself up. It rears up, in other words, so that way it's lying on its, for lack of a better term, butt. You know how have you seen some animals do that? Cats do that. Dogs do that every now and then. Whenever they're trying to get themselves higher, they'll pull themselves up to just have their back straight up, and then they're leaning against their butt, and then of course their head is arching and so on. That's what this creature does. That's what this roe does. That's why its legs are actually longer in the back and as opposed to the legs in the front being shorter, because it's able to use the more massive legs in the back to support it whenever it rears up. Isn't that crazy? I mean, it's very, very amazing to think that dinosaurs, this one, would be able to do something along those lines. The massive weight that it has too, you could just picture the power that these legs would have. And not only that, but also the spine to be able to rear itself up like that and then stay upright and hold its very, very long neck up into a vertical position, using that, of course, to its advantage to be able to be upright and then see in the far off distance. Probably very clever too to have, because considering this location being Western New Guinea, who knows how tall the trees would get, this would give it an advantage to be able to see something. Like if it hears something coming in the horizon, they'll be able to see it from a long, long ways. But yes, these type of rows, this type of legs, and then of course the way it rears up, that's essentially how it stays so different from some of the other past dinosaurs. More things associated with its physical characteristics: its skin is considered light brown yellowish, which is very easy for it to be able to blend into the atmosphere that surrounds it. Those rows I was talking about are triangular, again harking more towards the Godzilla that I was using as an example before. And then its tail has has a spike on it too, which would enable it to use it as protection, maybe even defensive type of actions, because you could picture something like this being this massive. It could use its girth to be able to swing its tail, obviously using the weight of it and the force behind it to just nail that spike between anything and anyone that tries to make any dangerous acts towards it. So lots of things associated with it as far as this creature, although apparently its tail is almost a hindrance too, because it drags along the ground because of that spike that's located on it. So who knows if this is something that just evolution created and then accidentally had a bad after effect, or maybe it associates it with making sure it doesn't tip over because of its weight. But either way though, that's another interesting characteristic of the tail itself. Now, as far as the sightings, they're very rare. Very rare. In fact, there's only pretty much one as far as what's associated with this creature. This happened apparently in the late 1930s. It was a creature, a sighting of it by a couple by the name of Charles Miller and then his wife Leona Miller. And the way it went was they were there in West New Guinea in the jungles on a honeymoon. Who knows why anybody would go somewhere so remote when it comes to their honeymoons, but maybe they were explorers and adventurers of sorts. Well, they were there with a tribe called the Kiriri, and as they were visiting them, that's when they noticed that there was these very interesting looking tusks. At first they thought it was tusks, but they didn't realize exactly what they were looking for. And then that's when the tribe there mentioned to them, no, it belongs to another creature. They gave a description of what the creature was. Obviously this intrigued them as far as the couple to figure out, what is this thing? Where exactly did it come from? And so this tribe took the Leona couple over to another area of the jungle. In fact, that this journey is so far and so remote that they had to travel a couple of days to be able to get there. And then at the end of a swampy river delta, that's when they saw a creature. That's when they saw this thing there. This row was there apparently just minding its own business, and when it was seen, it obviously saw them. In fact, it's the way I was reading this information, it seemed like the tribe there knew that this row was there. It was kind of like leave it be type of scenario, but the couple was interested, and so they called out to it, and this in turn almost frightened the row. And then that's when it used its tail to just lash out more in a spectacle rather than, let's say, anything harmful. You know how like dogs like to bark, for example, and growl. This is probably along the lines of what this creature did with regards to its tail. It did that several times. It reared up, doing that very unique action that I was mentioning as far as it going upwards and vertical. Unfortunately, this was done in a very quick fashion, too quick enough for Miller to be able to see this creature and film it long enough And so what happened next is this creature then decided it was getting out of there, and then it went. It actually slithered away very quickly, and then it was gone behind the forest. So interesting stuff. This was the first and only known sighting that could be called a contemporary sighting, at least something not associated with that tribe themselves, just outsiders instead. And then that's where they saw this creature. Unfortunately, there's been no other type of evidence, nothing else presented. Everything else was just pretty much linked to this particular sighting. In fact, it's considered so rare that there's skepticism associated with Moros, like if they even existed, if this creature truly saw, if this couple actually truly saw what they did in terms of this creature, mainly because, again, there should be more associations with it, more encounters, but again, that's up for debate. But that's pretty much it. That's all the information that we have here when it comes to this roe. Very fascinating creature, no? I just love the world of dinosaurs. I wish they were still alive. The idea that something like this could be out there in this world, and there it is just rearing its head up every now and then, its entire body upwards to try to see it. What a sight that would be. What a spectacle it would be as well. But if anybody has any more info, anything else I might have missed, then please post those comments below. Maybe somebody there, who knows, it's going to be pretty rare on here, but maybe somebody is there, has visited, lived there, in other words, at Western New Guinea. If you know more information on the local level, then please post those comments below. It would be a perfect area for a creature like this, again, to be able to live. Such unexplored forests, deep within who knows how far away from civilization. You would have no chance of running into this creature unless it was by pure happen chance. So perfect place for this creature to blend into. All right, everybody. Thanks again as always. Take care. Bye.